So, in today's lecture, we are going to discuss about the two-way slabs. Now, a two-way slab is a slab which I mentioned already. It has got L one of the dimensions, although it can be greater than the other dimension, but the ratio of the aspect ratio has to be uh, around or less than 2. So if this is L, one is Lx and another is Ly, or let's take this as D and this is B, the ratio between these two, L y by Lx or D by B, has to be less than 2. Then we can call this as a two-way slab. Now, a two-way slab is a slab which is spanning in both the directions. So thereby, there would be, because the load is being transferred to all the four supports, these all four supports are, it's the slab is supported on all the four edges. Thereby, we would have the load being transferred to all four supports, and the shortest path of the load transference could be the diagonal in most of the cases, with the load going towards the corner. Now, when you have such a situation, there are the deflection profiles for this two-way type of slab are somewhat like this, with the maximum deflection happening at the center and the minimum deflections happening towards the edge. Now, because there is not any appreciable difference between Ly and Lx, these deflection contours would be uh, they could be traveling as circles or at maximum as ellipse. So thereby, what we have is that a two-way slab has is being supported on all four edges. This. Now these supports are, for a two-way slab, they could be simple support. One, the support conditions could be simply supported. Two, it could be a fixed support on the ends. When it's simply supported, it's free to uplift, means this is free to uplift, and fixed, it's not free to uplift. What happens in conditions when you have more fixity of the supports is that, yeah, if I can show you now, this is a slab which is uh, yeah, this one, it's a two-way slab. it's being loaded. Now this slab, you can see that the edges are lying down. There are red lines, red arrows shown here at the ends. Now this is the load, the yellow arrows at the bottom center. Now the red arrows, they are showing the there is a restraint on the edge. Now how does that restraint come from? Now that is known as torsionally restrained here. But there are, we also call it as, there are constraints to the movement or deflection or rotation of the slab. A slab usually has got, what are the constraints in a slab? Now, if this is a slab, if it has got a wall above it, there is a wall above the slab, एक wall ऊपर है slab के ऊपर, then similarly on all the four edges there are walls above it. The slab will not be in a position to uplift from its along its edge when it's being deflected, with the load being mostly the maximum deflection at the center. So along the edge, the slab is actually not able to, what is it not able to do? It's not able to rotate. So thereby the rotation is prevented. One, a constraint has been given to the rotation, has been restrained or constrained. So the slab's rotation or its similarly, it cannot lift up. Thereby, the deflection at the edge is also restrained or constrained. Now, not only with the wall above it, there could be any other situation for the slab. For example, you have a column supported slab. This is a slab which is column supported. There are columns in this slab below it, and there are similarly columns above it. What we can say then, now these are the columns. Then there would be beams as well. There are beams connecting these columns. Now, what is happening when there are beams connecting these columns? The slab has got beams underneath it, so thereby the slab is actually prevented from rotating. The edges of the slab are prevented from rotating, and the edges of the slab are also prevented from vertical translations. Thereby, with two restraints here acting on the slab, one is the rotational restraint and another is the translational restraint. So there are two rotations which are, so two degrees of freedom which are actually restrained here in such cases of slabs. Now there could be slabs which are just simply supported, and you already know that in a simple support condition you have uh, a degree of freedom because the edges are actually hinge. They act as hinge or they act as rollers. So in a simple support condition, the rotation is free to happen. So the ends would not be restrained, they would not be sitting down, they could lift up. That could happen along with the supports as well. But it usually happens without the support. The slab lifts up if there is no constraint. Now, there is a difference between the restraint and constraint here. Uh, Restraints, you have supports. For example, when you studied the structure and analysis, एक beam के साथ एक column, it was actually connected through a joint. So there you said that it's restrained. Now, similar was the case when the slab was resting on the, it was fixed to the column beam arrangement, or it was fixed to the wall arrangement above it and below it. There you could say that restraint is a constraint. But now, when you have a slab, jab aapki slab, you have laid down the this. I will show you the framework. You have laid down this framework of column. This is the elevation. This is beam and this is column. Now these are rigid joints, or they are hinged joints, whatever, here between the column and the beam. But now the slab will come over it, and there is no connection between the beam and the slab. In this case, neither is the beam being fixed or restrained here. In this case, what will happen to the slab? The slab is free to lift up somewhat like this. It could lift up somewhat like this. The edges are lifting up and the center of this, and this is independent from the beam column arrangement. Beam and column has nothing to do with. So this, we here in this case we say that there is no constraint. There are restraints here between the beam and column, but there is no restraint with the slab, so there is no constraint with the slab. So we can say slab is not constrained. So here you do not confuse it with restraint. We usually use the term constraint only in this case, that the slab is not constrained towards the edge, thereby the slab is free to lift up, and this is independent from the beam column arrangement. Similarly, it could be a case when you have no wall over the slab, and it's not a beam column arrangement, it's a loading type. uh, it's a structural structure which has got a load bearing. In that structure which is load bearing, there is a wall underneath it, and there is a slab then over it. This is wall, there is a slab over it, and there is again a wall over it. So the edges of the slab are restrained here, and they are not able to lift up, they are not able to rotate, they are not able to translate. So there is a constraint here. So in case of slabs, we usually use the term constraint so as not to confuse it with the restraint. The restraint is between beam column arrangement that we usually use, although the uh, it's both dealing with the degrees of freedom, and it's one and the same thing, but not, in order not to confuse it with the beam column arrangement, we use the term constraint here and not restraint. We don't use the term restraint here so as not to confuse, otherwise it's the same thing. Now this is, yes Faizan, what if the span ratio is equal to 2? Is it a two-way or a one-way cylinder? Because different sources say different. So it's usually less than 2 that we take, and it's not a big issue. We can take it as at 2, we can say it's a one-way slab or it's a two-way slab. We can say it both, and we can go for a design as a one-way slab as well at 2, as well as a two-way slab. but usually the courts mention that you take less than 2 as a two-way slab. Now constraint, not restraint, we are using this term. Now what is the rotation? So what did you get up till this point is that in a two-way slab we could have, so thereby in a two-way slab, if it is not, first thing, if it is not a, no, a constraint, will not use the term restraint. If it's not constraint, so being free to lift up, now how will it lift up? These corners, they lift up first. These corners lift up first, and we say, why do these corners lift up first? Because at these corners now you have, for that you need to first check what is the moments that are transferred in the slab along this direction and along this direction. So at the corner the moments are acting like this and perpendicular to it. At the center it would be like this, the moments acting, and at the corners they would be acting somewhat like this. Why do the moments act like this? Because you have the deflection contour of this slab in this fashion. So we can cut the moment along this contour in two directions, this and this, at the center. Similarly here, the deflection contour would be cutting it like this, and the other one would be like this. So at the corners, this is how the deflection contours would be. And so thereby you could take the moment contours as well in the similar fashion. Now uh, for this, at the edge, at the corners, there would be more moments acting at the corners, and thereby the corners would be lifting up first. They would tend to lift up first. And why is this? Because there is a torsional coupling happening here at the corners. What is torsional coupling? You have movements in two opposite directions. One is through this direction. For example, this is x direction. Another is through this y direction. Here at the corner, one of the one of the moment is much more than the other. Which one is much more? It is this one, and that is much more than this one. So thereby the corner lifts up first. uh, so this could be also known as rotational coupling. Now you would have seen, if you take a disposable plastic plate and you load it up, if you are putting that plate on to something, if it's loaded more, it would lift up from the edge, and you would see if it's a square one, the corners of it would lift up first. So that's due to rotational coupling, with this movement, this one movement greater than the other one, quite larger than the other one. Thereby, the corners lift up first. So that was the first case. If it's not constrained, then comes the second case. Uh, Now, this was not constraint for what? Both rotation as well as for uh, the uplifting. Now, there could be a case if it is not constraint only for rotational for rotations. If it's not constraint only for rotations, in that case, what would you say? Which is that case? There is a slab and you are allowing it to uplift, but so that requires a hinge. It requires a hinge assembly. Sorry, this is not only rotations, this is for uplifting. In that case, the corners, the edges of the slab need to be hinged. Now, where does that case arise? When the slab, an RC slab, is hinged? And there are very less cases which where you can say that an RC slab is hinged. It's allowing rotations and it's not allowing the vertical translations. If it was a steel assembly, there you could say that such a case could arise. There you could be providing a hinge below the slab, and this case could arise there. So this case does not arise in an RC slab. And then the third case is, which I just discussed, when it's totally restrained or constrained. When it's totally constrained against uplifting as well as rotation. Constrained totally. In that case, what is happening to the slab? It's not able to, which I showed you in the figure, where red arrows were showing it's resting at one place, and plus there is no rotation at the ends, so there is zero rotation at the edge, and thereby the slope at the edge is zero, and the slope is maximum as well as the deflection is maximum at the somewhere near the center of the slab. So this is when it's totally constant. Now these are the two behavior of a two-way slab for different conditions. Now for these conditions, what how do we design a two-way slab?